Hello friends, Jenkins Dota here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the top 4 offlaners in 7.17. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 4, Lycan. The only reason that this hero is not number 1 on this list is because this is a list about offlaners, and the way that Lycan is picked right now is that he is basically just picked in the game. They say screw it and throw him into whatever lane is best for the game. So this hero is an offlaner, a mid laner, and a safe laner. In fact, in this game you can see that we're dealing with an offlane Razor. So really, traditionally speaking, this Lycan is an offlane Lycan. In fact, he's against a lifestealer who is a carry, and then the Razor isn't. So there's some lane dodging going on. That's typically what happens with this hero. So if you're looking to learn a hero to win a lot of pubs, I would say Lycan is the hero for you. There are 2 reasons, in my opinion, why Lycan is so damn broken in this current patch. Number 1, look at how he's trading with the snakes here. Typically, Lifestealer is a hero that would trade extremely effectively and be able to bully a lot of offlaners. But Lycan, because he has this Feral Impulse, he does not give a single damn about getting hit. In fact, this Feral Impulse also helps him because he gets that bonus damage, which is going to help him deny in the laning phase. The Wolves, because they give extra damage, they help him deny in the laning phase. So this hero has this ability to just sit in a lane and completely deny somebody while he's getting hit by them. I mean, look at this Lifestealer. He cannot do anything to this Lycan. Lifestealer would typically destroy any hero by doing exactly what he just did, but not a Lycan. So that's the number 1 reason. Laning is important. Lycan is great at laning. The second reason that Lycan is incredibly broken in this current patch is exactly what you're about to see here. He is so incredible at both carrying and deathballing while building the exact same items. Typically, if you were to build into a Helm Dom on something like an Abaddon or a Nature's Prophet, any of these typical historical offlaners, you would be committing to a death ball, and it would hurt your late game pretty significantly, to be honest, because you'd be setting yourself behind however much gold those items cost. You build a Necronomicon, it's a slot, it's 4,800 gold or something like that for the total Necro, and you're setting yourself back. Lycan, however, because he has all of these minion buffing spells, he has the ultimate, which makes them go above hasted speed. It gives them all crit. He has the Feral Impulse, which is going to give them damage, gives them regen. He has the Howl, which gives them damage, which gives them health. He has the Wolves, which are going to be maiming things, which are going to be scouting invis for the other minions. He has all of these things that are buffing the hell out of minions, so he actually wants to build into these minion items for the late game, but also we just saw Lycan Deathball, and it's like the enemy team can hardly fight this guy. This is an offlane Lycan. Let me go ahead and check out the last hits here. So he was against the safe lane, even though the lanes are a little weird. Technically, the enemy safe lane was in the off lane because they were dodging, but he was an offlaner getting harassed by a Windranger and a Lifestealer, and look how much damage he's doing to this Crystal Maiden. Building into these Deathball early game items, and yet he is this scary as a carry. I swear to God, I've seen in so many games this hero function perfectly as that utility, tanky, soak spells, builds aura items offlaner, but then he's running around getting ultra kills as well. That is why Lycan is broken. You are basically getting 2 heroes for the price of 1. You are getting a Deathballer and an incredible late game carry who can lane extremely effectively, all in the same pick. That is insane. Number 3, Axe. Axe has historically been considered an incredibly broken late game hero as an anti-carry, so basically a hero that can, as long as it's in the late game, can get his abilities onto a carry. He will basically solo kill them. That is something that Axe has been capable of doing ever since they changed Counter Helix such that it now does pure damage. So any BKBs, any physical resistance that you build, you're going to do pure damage with that Counter Helix. It's so good scaling into the late game because of that. In the same patch where they changed that, they also changed Blade Mail and how Blade Mail works, such that when somebody does damage to a unit that has a Blade Mail on, it's not going to consider that unit who has the Blade Mail's reductions. It's going to consider the reductions, the armor, the magic resist of the unit that is having their damage reflected to them. So basically, Blade Mail used to be crappy on Axe because if you called somebody, you got plus 40 armor and it would return basically no damage to them. But now, you can kill almost anybody because it's going to return so damn much damage to these heroes because they don't have anywhere near as much armor as Axe. But the thing is, Axe's win rate skyrocketed when that was changed. It went from like 45% to like 65% or something that just wasn't okay. So what happened? Valve nerfed. They were like, this hero's too good, but we don't like to change things back and revert them. We'll change something else. That's a good way that they keep Dota fresh, is that they always stray away from changing things. They made him, he's still just as good in the late game. They just changed the scaling on a lot of his abilities such that he was really crappy in the early game. And then it got to the point where Axe would never really come online because he would get so decimated in the early game because his laning was so damn weak. But in the previous couple of patches, this Battle Hunger ability has been buffed, and instead of leaving it at level 1 or not even going for it, which is what people used to do, people are getting it now, and they're harassing people out of the lane and destroying lanes with this. So now Axe still obviously has that broken late game ability because they never changed his late game where people started deciding that Axe is too broken, everybody was banned picking him. He still has that late game, which has always been good, but now, as you can see from this lane, his early game is absolutely incredible. His Battle Hunger, the damage has been increased on it, the movement slow and the movement speed bonus has been increased on it, the damage per second has been increased on it, the cooldown has been reduced on it, and the mana cost has been reduced. So basically people will get a lot of points in this ability in the early levels and completely decimate laning stages with it. So this is, like I said in the first clip, there are a lot of heroes that are being picked right now because of their laning ability. Axe isn't like a Lycan where he just sits there and gets harassed. Axe will destroy you if you're not careful, and that is why this hero is absolutely amazing, as well as he transitions beautifully into the late game as an amazing anti-carry as well. Number 2, Doom. Doom is also a hero, much like Axe, that has traditionally been considered extremely good in the late game just by virtue of the fact that he can take a single hero out of a fight by just pressing R on them, if not, kill them from full HP because of how Infernal Blade works. But Doom also is extremely strong in the current meta in the laning phase, which, as I've talked about, is extremely important for when you're considering whether or not you want to pick a hero. And in this replay, you can see exactly why that is the case, why he's so damn strong in the early game now. So basically, there's a number of reasons for this. All of the creeps have been buffed in the sense that the creep mana cost for the Thunderclap, for the Stomp, for the Troll Net, all of these things have been greatly reduced to the point where Doom can actually spam these if he eats the creep and gets their abilities. The auras, they're the same, they've always been pretty good, but Doom functions beautifully as a really strong harass hero with these creep abilities. So the buffs to creeps really helped out Doom in his laning. And then also, Doom is a hero who has this Scorched Earth. So he's a sustain hero. He's an absolutely amazing sustain hero because he gets that bonus regen from the Scorched Earth. And although this has been nerfed, in fact, so has the Infernal Blade. You can see that both of these things have been nerfed such that they're no longer as great as they once were at level 1. Doom is still incredibly strong because if you look at the base regen for the Scorched Earth, it's still 12 regen, and that's amplified by his strength as well. So even as you scale going into the later parts of the laning phase, Doom becomes harder and harder to kill just by virtue of being a strength hero. And then Infernal Blade. This is an ability that, like I said, if you use this on somebody, you can basically kill them from full HP if they're doomed at any point in the game. It is ridiculous. If you look at the math on it, Infernal Blade, it's got a 4-second cooldown at max level with a 4-second burn duration, and it's doing 5% of their max HP. So it's going to do 20% of their HP per hit. And that's on top of the Doom damage, on top of your right clicks, on top of the Scorched Earth. So Doom basically has this massive kill potential, but he's also extremely tanky and extremely hard to kill in the lane. And the Infernal Blade also helps out in the laning phase as well, because remember, this current meta is about sustaining, it's about harassing, so that way you can zone people off the creeps and deny them. Well, the Infernal Blade, people started experimenting with a lot of builds on Doom. Some people go for the Scorched Earth, some people go for the Infernal Blade, but the fact of the matter is, now that Doom has the versatility in the sense that he can sometimes max the Infernal Blade and play a harassing style of lane, or he can max the Scorched Earth and play more of a kill style of lane using the Thunderclap or a sustain lane, makes Doom extremely strong. And then also on top of that, if we're talking sustain, Doom can pick up the Satyr creep, and it is a ridiculous amount of HP regen on top of the fact that he's already incredibly hard to kill because he's a strength hero. Then the Scorched Earth, as it scales with strength, that makes him really tanky, as well as that Satyr bonus. So basically, the gist of it is Doom is extremely strong in the laning phase, and for so long he's been amazing outside of the laning phase. It's just been getting to that point with him that was a struggle, but it no longer is because of these buffs to the creep, because of the buffs to the hero as well. Number 1, Beastmaster. You might be wondering, Jenkins, why did you put Beastmaster at number 1 on this list? We see him a lot in competitive. He always does pretty well, but he's not something like a Lycan where you see him running around and solo killing everybody and having this like crazy tremendous impact. While I do think that you can have a huge impact on Beastmaster, much like a Lycan, like if you get a Necro Book, for example, and you get an early Shadow Blade, you can run around and you can kill everybody and you can feel like you're that crazy threat on the map. And Beastmaster does have incredibly strong laning and kill potential and harass potential as well, just like some of these other heroes that I included on this list. I would actually say that Beastmaster is not a hero that you would necessarily want to pick over those heroes in a lot of games. The reason that I think that Beastmaster is the number 1 uncontested offlaner in competitive right now, and you see him in almost every game, is because no matter what scenario you throw him into, no matter who you're playing against, as you can see in this game, I'm playing against a Legion Commander, Marana, PL. These are heroes that are pretty decent against Beastmaster. You can purge the Beastmaster roar, you can jump away from the Beastmaster when he's trying to roar you with the Marana, with the PL, but it doesn't matter, because this hero is so versatile, so strong with his skill set, that it doesn't matter what's picked against you. You aren't countered by anything. And something like a Doom, however, would be countered by something. There's a lot of counters to Doombringer. He's a really good hero. Don't get me wrong. You can win a lot of pubs with him. But there are some very, very hard counters. For instance, like a Wisp is a great counter. Chen, send people back who are doomed. Like there are really, really strong counters to this hero, Doom, but not to Beastmaster. Beastmaster will do fine no matter what, and that is exactly why I think that Beastmaster is like the hottest pick in terms of offlaners in competitive right now, because you can pick him and you can be comfortable that he's going to have a huge impact regardless of what happens to him in the laning phase. With that being said, he also has some crazy capabilities in the laning phase. Like if you want to pick a Beastmaster with a dual lane setup, you know, if you want to go with the Wisp, with the Coddle, anything like that, that's going to give you mana, sustain, Skywrath even, Bounty Hunter, as I was playing with in this game, you do have a lot of harass potential, just because since the rework, the Wild Axis works beautifully in a lane where you're trying to either kill or harass somebody, because it just does so much stacking damage. You get a few stacks on somebody, you right click for 150 all of a sudden. Even though your hero looks like you're hitting for 80, you'll hit for 150 because that's stacking damage. The axes will do double the damage. It's unreal what you can do with this hero, but the thing is, there's no counter you can really pick against Beast where you can't do that. That's the great thing about this hero. No matter what, he's always going to be consistent, and that's why he's the number 1 offlaner to learn right now, in my opinion, because you can pick it early, and it's going to do well as long as you are good enough.